Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Miasma, and tonight we're going to have another taste of manga. And the manga I'm going to be talking about is one that a patron requested me to talk about here. And if you didn't know, I do have a Patreon. I'll link it down below. It gives you, there are a couple different rewards, but primarily it gives you kind of first priority in terms of anime and manga recommendations for me to talk about on a monthly basis. And my awesome patron, Justin Chipman, suggested me to review Franken Fran. Now, Franken Fran is this is the first omnibus, I guess. It's I guess the first two volumes of the original manga, and it's pretty interesting. He had given me this before Halloween, I believe, and I should have, in truth, read this before Halloween, but I did not. Apologies for that. But I did finish it up recently, and I think it is very cool. It's very Halloween esque. As you can see, we got a Frankenstein's monster looking girl here, and that's our main character Fran. And it's essentially a story about it's a lot of sort of episodic tales of this girl named Fran, who is a creation of this mad scientist guy named Dr. Madaraki, and she lives in this like mansion. Madaraki's not around; it's unknown where he really is at this point. But a lot of people know this kind of mad scientist doctor for his revolutionary experiments in the fields of reanimation and like biology and stuff like that. He can apparently like bring the dead back to life and so forth, and sew body parts to shit they didn't belong to before, and it works and stuff like that. So mad scientist of the body, as it were. And his little creation here, Fran, is this like teenage-ish aged girl, and she's sort of normal, except for the bolt in her head, and she's really into Dr. Madaraki's experiments and continuing his research. So I guess she's really not that normal. I mean, she's normal like in the sense that sometimes she goes to school, but aside from that, she is almost as good at this science as Dr. Madaraki. And in his absence, people go to her to have various surgeries performed, and they go to her with like a whole bunch of different problems. Now, there doesn't seem to be a lot of overarching story going on here. Excuse me. At least yet in these first two volumes here, it's a lot of like isolated, like chapter long tales. Now, if that's your kind of thing, then you're gonna be really into this. I'm not a huge fan of kind of like episodic stuff that doesn't really like tie together, and maybe it does later on. There are like some recurring characters here, like you have in their house, Fran or Madaraki. I don't remember who necessarily created all of them, but there is a lot of these artificial or like reanimated beings, people with like different limbs stitched together and different brains that aren't theirs and different like body parts. A lot of body horror in this manga. If you're someone that's really into body horror, this is right up your alley. There's a lot of nudity as well, so I'm gonna have to be careful with like opening the pages of this. But a lot of people getting like turned into stuff that they weren't before. A lot of people getting their body parts removed or adjusted or replaced and shit. Pretty cool in an aesthetic setting. The art does look really cool. People get turned into like some weird shit. Some like weird stuff happens with their bodies. Like where's the dude? Oh, here we go. Like this dude getting his like brain ripped out by Fran. Like a lot of this kind of stuff. And you got a lot of like eyes like just like dangling. There's a lot of panels with like eyes with like the spaghetti string just like dangling around or flopping around and stuff. But like I said, a lot of these chapters pretty like standalone stories. The only real connection is Fran, and people seem to go to Fran with lost loved ones or some kind of like personal issue with their own appearance. And Fran offers help. Now, she's very willing to help them, and she's not. I don't consider her necessarily like evil, but it seems as though her like idea of fixing humanity, as she puts it, like repairing humanity, and being a good doctor, isn't always right for the person, and generally stuff goes to backfire. Like kind of like Pet Shop of Horrors, or like that store in Rick and Morty that Summer worked at, where like they buy these items and they're good at first, but then they're cursed and they fuck you up later on. A lot of these surgeries and like bodily adjustments and so forth initially might help the person, might put them in a better sense of themselves or something than they were before, but there's a drawback to a lot of this. You might turn into something. Your body part might get infected, or have a mind of its own or some shit. But there's a lot of that in here. There's like aspects of like cloning and a lot of cool like sci-fi type stuff. Like I said, a lot of body horror, a lot of like nudity, but still a lot of like really cool art. With how there's one. I don't really want to spoil entirely what happens in that, but there's this one like this girl gets turned into a caterpillar. I'm not gonna explain how the hell this happened, but yeah, a girl got turned into a caterpillar. So if you're somebody that likes something like Gyo or Uzumaki, where people, you have crazy animal monstrosities walking around and giant snail people crawling around, I think you'll like this. I don't think the art is quite as good as it is in Uzumaki, but it's still pretty good on its own, and it's definitely a different style all its own. Now, I'm kind of biased on this, and I'm sure people might judge me for this, but I don't know if I'm necessarily going to continue this, because it wore thin for me. Like this was a pretty thick omnibus, and there's not a lot of like interesting dialogue going on. And it's very, very fast. Which normally is a good thing, but and I get you're not supposed to, but like I like to attach to characters. I like to find out more about backstory and so forth. This is just very, very repetitive of character who's not going to matter in the future comes to Fran, says, I want to change this about life, or my girlfriend died, bring her back to me. Fran does this crazy operation or something like that, and it turns out that the operation was fucked up, and now your girlfriend's like a zombie that wants to eat your flesh or some shit. And it's just kind of like that, like over and over again, just with like different. The only thing that changes is like the outrageousness of the surgeries and their results, which are cool, and I could see why people would really like this. I could see how body horror fans would like this. I could see how horror fans would like this a lot, and I'm someone that's argued for more horror, anime, and manga. It would be cool. I would probably watch a few episodes of this in anime form if it existed. It currently does not, and this manga originated, I believe, in 2006, so I don't know if that's going to happen, but hey, if Parasite taught us anything, the anime could come out at any time. But yeah, if this sounds like your kind of thing, please check out Franken Fran by Katsuhisa Kigitsu, and I probably butchered that name. You can, I'm pretty sure you can pick this up on Amazon. My copy was given to me by, like I said, my awesome patron, Justin Chipman. And so, yeah, have you read Franken Fran? Let me know down below what you thought of it. Maybe mention something that might be similar in terms of manga or anime, because that'd be interesting to find out. If you have read this, anything I could like recommend, I would say like Uzumaki and Gyo, or maybe even Ibitsu. It's another horror manga that I've mentioned before, and I think among those you're going to find something to your liking. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to continue this. I know it's like 3 more omnibus volumes, and maybe there's some overarching story that goes on later, but I don't know. I feel like this was entertaining. I don't regret reading it, but I think it's kind of just like a try it, see if you like it kind of deal. So again, thank you to my patrons for their kind donations this month. If you'd like to become a patron, I'll have that link down below. And yeah, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so a big thank you to all of my viewers, again, all of my patrons, the guys in the Sugoi Boys podcast. Those guys are incredible. Anybody who has done art for me, or even given me tips on making videos or stuff like that. All the anime YouTubers that have inspired me, some of them I've talked to, you know who you are. All of my friends in Discord, thank you so much, because without you guys, I wouldn't really have the courage to be doing this kind of thing. I'm still nervous every time I get in front of this camera. Who's kidding? But thank you so much for making this worthwhile. And I hope you guys have a nice Thanksgiving. And I'm looking forward to having some videos when I come back from that little break. So thank you guys again for watching. My name is Miasma, and I'm signing out. See you next time.